In this video, we're going to get a hands-on look at the X-Sight 5 LRF from ATN. Gavin Gear here from UltimateReloader.com. Here at Ultimate Reloader, we've been running ATN's X-Sight Pro 4K for a number of years, and we have had a lot of fun with it. Let's check out some of that footage. Now it's time to take a look at the all-new X-Sight 5 LRF. This scope is available in multiple magnification ranges and is available with and out the LRF, which is laser range finder. That's right, it is built in. Okay, to kick off this video, we're gonna get this baby out of the box. So here it is, the entire box contents for the 5-25 X-Sight 5 LRF. The first thing I noticed is how ATN was able to slim down the design. Check that out. Electro-optics are not bound by some of the physical constraints that you'd have with a traditional optic. And it's really great that ATN was able to capitalize on that in order to slim things down. The overall design is familiar, very definitely. If you don't have the LRF model, you won't have this module on the side where you can see the laser rangefinder components that are forward facing. So we've got the scope assembly itself, we've got the front cap, the manual, we've got different mounting options. We've got 30mm rings for a conventional mount, and then if we want to mount the IR illuminator on one of the rings, we can do that as well. You can see here on my old setup, I chose to mount the included IR illuminator off the side of my M-LOK rail, which is another option. It just depends on how you have your rifle set up. So you got to give ATN some kudos here for the completeness of the package. We've also got 2 Allen keys. We've got the rear eyepiece with the accordion section, which is really good for night situations or even seeing the screen better during the day. We've got a neoprene cover for the entire scope. That also is a really nice thing to have included. A lot of these things are things that just normally cost extra. The USB-C charging cable for the optic. We've got a lens cleaning cloth. And we have an IR illuminator with some improvements here. This one has an included rechargeable battery and a USB charger. It appears we're going to put this, let's see, this says plus this way. We've got plus that way, so we're going to just put this in like so, plug it into a USB outlet, and we should be good to go. That I like a lot. I can charge the scope, charge the illuminator the night before. Battery life has been really good with this device in my experience. So it'll be really interesting to see how the X-Sight 5 stacks up. So next, I'm going to get this mounted on a rifle. We'll do some shooting. We'll talk detailed specs and do a comparison to the X-Sight Pro 4K. Well, here it is. I've had the X-Sight 5 out in the field. I've put it through its paces, and I kind of wanted to give you a summary of what I've done since the unboxing. So this rifle is built on a BAT TR. This is a 6 ARC, which has been a really popular and fun platform to shoot. It's a very accurate rifle, and I thought that'd be a great platform to test out the X-Sight 5 with. So I used a couple Athlon rings that are 30mm, like the tube. And if I had this to do again, I would probably use something with a 25 MOA inclination on it to extend the reach of the X-Sight 5 a little bit, but this worked out great to 400 yards, absolutely no problem whatsoever. So I very carefully checked my eye relief. I used the diopter adjustment here to adjust the screen focus, got my eye relief dialed in, locked it down, and this is where kind of the thin profile of this scope helps a little bit more. The objective diameter is a little bit smaller, which is not an issue for an electro-optic at all, and that allowed me to kind of attain a little bit of a lower profile. So the scope install was pretty much just like any other scope install. It just happens to be an electro-optic. X-Sight 5 has USB-C, so I made sure that it was all charged up. Then it was time to go to 100 yards and do our sight in, and this is where the electro-optic and the one-shot zero comes in handy. You shoot, you see where the shot landed, and then you move the crosshairs over to that spot. It's just a few clicks, and then you set your zero, and then you take another couple shots to confirm. I've had several instances where it was indeed a one-shot zero. Sometimes I have to come back and make a couple micro adjustments. Kind of depends on how exacting you want to get. So following the 100-yard sight in, I went to the Ultimate Reloader Ridgeline range. This is a super fun area. It's where all of the shooting action for the Rock Chuck Olympics happened. I wanted to see what this platform would do with Rock Chucks without actually having Rock Chucks. That's a spring thing. You know, we're heading into late fall here, and that wasn't an option. But we do have some DM targets, steel Rock Chucks, and these were at 336 yards, which is a fair distance really for a target that's sized like that. And this is where the LRF really comes in handy. You have to enable the ballistic calculator in the menu. That's something to remember every time you boot up the scope. Enable the ballistic calculator. You hold down the ranging button and it gives you your yardage. There's some sort of angled crosshairs that come in with a box in the middle. You hold steady for just a second, boom, and then you see the yardage update down there at the bottom of the display. And I had input the ballistics for this 108 ELDM factory match load from Hornady for the 6-ARC cartridge, something that we've done quite a bit of shooting for. And I'm happy to say this thing was 100%. At 336 yards, I engaged 2 different targets, a vertical target and a horizontal target from DM targets, and was right on the money with that. So that was really fun. Then I thought, while I'm at the Ridgeline range, I would do a little bit of positional shooting with the tripod and engaged targets from 176 yards to 200 yards from the tripod. And again, no problem getting on target, and LRF worked really, really well. This is a really great feature for hunting because it's going to take the guesswork out of things. You're not going to have to look at a dope chart. You're not even going to have to think about dialing. You just hit the LRF, boom, and then take your shot, right? And plus recoil-activated video. It can sense, the scope can sense the recoil, and it has a rolling buffer of video frames. So it can say, oh, when you take the shot, go back X number of seconds, start recording that to the SD card, and then continue post-roll for X number of seconds as well. And with the built-in microphone, you're gonna get audio as well. Super cool stuff. Again, less thinking to have to do in the field and kind of more automatic goodness that you get with this kind of package. And there's nothing like capturing that through the scope view when you're hunting. It's just something that is very difficult to accomplish in any other way. So the positional shooting was great. Again, LRF, really handy feature. I decided to go down to a familiar spot, and we actually shot the X-Sight Pro 4K beside our cabin at the 400-yard coyote target. And actually, that was before the coyote target. Now we have a coyote in two squares. So again, I hit LRF. Again, I was right on target. Really, really good stuff. So I think, you know, for a daytime coyote hunting rig, this would be great for rock chucks. And then you have your reflective IR for your night vision. I decided to test the night vision with my dog. That's right. I chained up my dog out at about 80 yards just to kind of see what kind of, you know, signature that we would get. I took the bolt out of the rifle, right? I didn't want to kill poor Pooch. I thought this would be a great way to simulate what you'd see if a coyote was out there running. Now my dog is black and the fur might have different characteristics, but you can see in the video footage, very easy to see what's going on. How you doing, buddy? Wow, look at those eyes glow. Wow. On this rifle, I didn't have a place to mount the IR illuminator, so I strapped it to the barrel. I think is what I did there with some Velcro just to get some quick imagery. And I'll be setting up a more proper hunting rig that will have the illuminator mounted properly. And I compared it to the X-Sight Pro 4K, and you could see I was using the illuminators that came with each optic. Quite a bit better performance with the illuminator and the optic in the case of the X-Sight 5 over the X-Sight Pro 4K. Now, X-Sight Pro 4K does a really good job at night. This illuminator definitely lit things up a lot brighter, and the detail was a little bit better with this optic. So I should note that there's actually two different SKUs for the LRF for the X-Sight 5. You've got the 3 to 15, which is just over $1,000, and then you've got the 5 to 25, which I have here, 5 to 25 LRF, which is $1,195. So it's only $100 more to go for the 5 to 25. I think that's pretty much a no-brainer. I would definitely go for the 5 to 25. And in terms of specs, what I did is I took the specs for this 5 to 25 and I compared it to the X-Sight Pro 4K, which goes up to 20 power. So a little bit more magnification with the X-Sight 5 to 25. This one does have the integrated laser rangefinder with the X-Sight Pro 4K. I did pair my ATN Binox 4K to the X-Sight Pro 4K, and that worked out really well, but this takes it to the next level, having the ability to do it all self-contained in the device. So the sensor on this is the 4K Plus 4056 by 3040. I calculated 44% more pixels compared to the X-Sight Pro 4K, which is important. Remember, there's no optics that move in this. You know, when you have a traditional optic and you're dialing for elevation, for instance, you know, optically, the scope is changing where it's looking essentially. Whereas with the scope like this, you have a sensor and it has kind of a rolling window where it's going to adjust for your elevation and for your windage if you have that data input. So the resolution is important, and more resolution is definitely better. Field of view, 6.3 degrees. There's a quad-core processor in the X-Sight 5, and that's a big improvement over, so this is the Gen 5. The X-Sight Pro 4K has a Gen 4 dual core. So this has twice the cores and newer technology as well. Micro display on the X-Sight 5 is 1280 by 960. That's 30% more pixels compared to the X-Sight Pro 4K. 90 millimeter eye relief, and huge deal, this scope can record in up to 4K Ultra HD resolution, whereas the X-Sight Pro 4K is limited to 1080p. Continuing with the specs, there is an inbuilt ballistic calculator. I talked about that. That's obviously a really important thing with LRF. They work hand in hand. And the ballistic calculator, I would say, worked better this time. I had to tweak the settings on the X-Sight Pro 4K when I was out at 400 yards or beyond, and this was dead on, which was totally awesome. I had really good chronograph data, and I used that as a baseline for all of the calculations, and I used a G7BC as well. The Wi-Fi streaming works for iOS and Android. I'll show you the ATN Connect 5 app in just a little bit. It has Bluetooth, 3D gyroscope, 3D accelerometer, recoil-activated video, electronic compass, smooth zoom, and radar, which is a feature that you can use with an app that enables collaborative hunting scenarios, for instance. So one of the cool things about the scope is that you can use ATN's reticle builder tool to define your own custom reticles, load them on the scope, share them with friends, that kind of thing. There's an inbuilt microphone, as I mentioned previously, so you're going to get all your audio notes and your audio of the shot. Works well with recoil-activated video, great to document your hunt. Micro SD cards are going to be from 4 to 64 gigs, V30 class. USB-C for charging. I've been trying to convert all of my device charging over to USB-C. Even Apple, for their iPhones, went to USB-C, right? Lightning is dead. So to have that built into the scope is definitely what I'm looking for. 30mm tube, that gives you a lot of scope ring and scope mount options. 14-hour battery life, that's up to, is the rating. I noticed with the X-Sight Pro 4K, the battery just lasted all day. It was really awesome. I haven't tested this scope yet. Maybe I'll follow up with some anecdotes on that after I use it in the field a little bit more. It's weatherproof, it's sealed, -20 Fahrenheit to +120 Fahrenheit. That's gonna cover the temperatures out here. It gets a little extreme in the mountains. Definitely gonna cover that spectrum. And with the X-Sight Pro 4K, again, I used it in extreme cold and it had no problem with the battery lighting up and lasting and that kind of thing. 2.2 pounds and a 2-year warranty. So the weight is actually, according to the factory specs, the same as the X-Sight Pro 4K. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to deep dive on is the ATN Connect 5 app. When you enable Bluetooth on the scope and you download the app, you just connect to that Wi-Fi access point that the scope is exposing, and you can do kind of a few different categories of things. So you can stream, and so it's not going to really show us anything too interesting in here, but you can see the difference there. Yeah, you can see what's going on through the scope. So this is kind of a great companion hunting feature, or sort of if you're coaching someone and they're shooting, or if you just kind of want to spot impacts and do two-person shooting scenarios. Really cool stuff on that. And then you have settings. So I'll walk through kind of each of these. So for video, we can set the resolution. So I'm going to go ahead and set that to 3840 by 2880p 30. Yes. Okay. Night sensitivity is on high. We can go low or high on that. Recording. There's a blend mode, advanced and simple. I have not played with that one. Microphone on or off. You can format the SD card here, which is a really handy feature. Sometimes different cameras or scopes prefer to be self-formatted so that they have optimal functioning. Recoil-activated video. This is a super, super cool one. So record before shot, 5 seconds is going to work. Record after shot, I'm going to increase that to 10 seconds. Just so that I can get the kind of narrative that I'm looking for. Okay, display. So we can set the display brightness. What are the values for that? Let's see. I think that's going to be 0 to 10. I'd have to play with that. Okay. Display widgets. So we can have minimal or extended. Sleep mode is off, is kind of what I prefer on that one. And then we can also set the language. You can see here we have the options of English, German, Spanish, Italian, Polish, Russian, and Bulgarian. Go back to our settings here. So, profiles. So this is my current profile that I input for the 6 ARC. Very easy to walk through the drag function, the ballistic coefficient, the bullet weight, the muzzle velocity, the zero range, and the sight height, which is the center to center distance above the bore axis. Okay, expanding settings. We have either standard or metric. We can set the date and time, the device, the zoom. So there's standard and extended, and I haven't played with that yet. Displays the firmware version. We can update the firmware easily by putting the firmware file from ATN on the micro SD card and then turning the scope on. Firmware update. We can check for firmware updates here and everything. Kind of a cool feature. Okay, so wireless Wi-Fi mode is either AP or client. So we can very easily here see the device SSID, which is the Wi-Fi name that we're going to connect to from our device. the password, the network SSID, and the network password. And finally, we have the environment settings. So we can set the relative humidity, wind speed, wind direction, temperature, barometric pressure, and altitude, which are all going to be used by the ballistic calculator to make sure that we stay on target. So that's a quick look at the ATN Connect 5 app and the functionality that it offers with the X-Sight 5. So there you go, a summary of specifications and features on ATN's X-Sight 5, the new improved day-night scope. I really like the device. I like the slimmed down form factor. I like the enhanced resolution, enhanced functionality. But I've just gotten started with this scope. You know, this is a really nice kind of PRS style rifle. I think it'd be fun to put this on different platforms, test it with different cartridges. Definitely hunting. I'm thinking, you know, I might go thermal for coyote hunting in the winter, but it would also be fun to try this. Definitely for rock chucks in this coming spring. This will be a great platform to have some fun with that and to bring you guys those videos. So my question for you all is, what do you think of the X-Sight 5? And is there anything specifically that you'd like to see me cover? Drop a comment and we'll start that discussion. I got more ATN content coming up, so I hope that you'll enjoy those videos as well. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. If you're interested in custom rifles like what we build here on the channel or gunsmithing services, you're going to want to go to rifles.ultimatereloader.com and get on the wait list. If you want to learn lucrative gunsmithing like what I show here on the channel, including building custom rifles and Cerakote plus a whole bunch more, you're going to want to check out the Colorado School of Trades, schooloftrades.edu. Thanks again for watching.